Untitled Chapter 9, Text 12. After meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all those different Vaishnavas became devotees of Krishna and began chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Text 13. O Lord Ramachandra, descendant of Maharaj Raghu, kindly protect me. O Lord Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon, kindly protect me. Text 14. While walking on the road, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to chant this Ram Raghava mantra. Chanting in this way, he arrived at the banks of the Gautami Ganga and took his bath there. Purport. The Gautami Ganga is a branch of the river Godavari. Formerly, a great sage named Gautam Rishi used to live on the bank of this river, opposite the city of Rajmahendri, and consequently, this branch was called the Gautami Ganga. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Srila Kaviraj Goswami has recorded the names of the holy places visited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but that there is no chronological order of the places visited. However, there is a notebook of Govind Dasas containing a chronological order and references to geographical positions. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur requests the reader to refer to that book. According to Govind Das, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Trimanda from the Gautami Ganga. From there, he went to Dhundi Rantir, another place of pilgrimage. According to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, after visiting the Gautami Ganga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Mallikarjuna Tirth. Text 15. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Mallikarjuna Tirth and saw the deity of Lord Shiva there. He also induced all the people to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Purport. Mallikarjuna is also known as Sri Saila. It is situated about 100 miles northeast of Karnaruda, on the southern bank of the Krishna river. There are great walls all around the villages, and within the walls resides the deity known as Mallikarjuna. It is the deity of Lord Shiva and is one of the Jyotirlingas. Text 16. There he saw Lord Mahadev, Shiva, the servant of Lord Rama. He then went to Ahovan Narsimha. Text 17. Upon seeing the Ahovan Narsimha deity, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered many prayers unto the Lord. He then went to Siddhavat, where he saw the deity of Ramachandra, the Lord of Sita Devi. Purport. Siddhavat, also known as Siddhavat, is 10 miles east of the village of Kudapa. Previously, this place was also known as the South Banaras. There is a great banyan tree there and it is therefore known as Siddhavat. What means banyan tree? Text 18. Upon seeing the deity of Lord Ramachandra, the descendant of King Raghu, the Lord offered his prayers and obeisances. Then a Brahmana invited the Lord to take lunch. Text 19. That Brahmana constantly chanted the holy name of Ramachandra. Indeed, but for chanting Lord Ramachandra's holy name, the Brahmana did not speak a word. Text 20. That day, Lord Chaitanya remained there and accepted prasadam at his house. After bestowing mercy upon him in this way, the Lord proceeded ahead. Text 21. At the holy place known as Skanda Kshetra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Skanda. From there he went to Trimatha, where he saw the Vishnu deity Trivikrama. Text 22. After visiting the temple of Trivikrama, the Lord returned to Siddhavata, where he again visited the house of the Brahmana, who was now constantly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Text 23. After finishing his lunch there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Brahmana, "My dear friend, kindly tell me what your position is now." Text 24. Formerly, you were constantly chanting the holy name of Lord Rama. Why are you now constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna? Text 25. The Brahmana replied, "This is all due to your influence, sir. After seeing you, I have lost my lifelong practice." Text 26. From my childhood, I have been chanting the holy name of Lord Ramachandra. But upon seeing you, I chanted the holy name of Lord Krishna just once. Text 27. Since then, the holy name of Krishna has been tightly fixed upon my tongue. Indeed, since I have been chanting the holy name of Krishna, the holy name of Lord Ramachandra has gone far away. Text 28. From my childhood, I have been collecting the glories of the holy name from revealed scriptures. Text 29. The supreme absolute truth is called Rama because the transcendentalists take pleasure in the unlimited true pleasure of spiritual existence. Purport. This is the eighth verse of Shatnam Stotra of Lord Ramachandra, which is found in the Padma Puran. Text 30. The word Krish is the attractive feature of the Lord's existence and now means spiritual pleasure. When the word Krish is added to the affix, it becomes Krishna, which indicates the absolute truth. Purport. This is a verse from Mahabharata, Udyoga Parva 71.4. Text 31. As far as the holy names of Rama and Krishna are concerned, they are on an equal level. But for further advancement, we receive some specific information from the revealed scriptures. Text 32. Lord Shiva addressed his wife Durga. O Varanam, I chant the holy name of Rama, 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 and thus enjoy this beautiful song. This holy name of Lord Ramachandra is equal to 1000 holy names of Lord Vishnu. Purport. This is a verse from the Brihad Vishnu Sahasranam Stotra in the Uttarakhand of the Padma Puran. Text 33. The pious results derived from chanting the 1000 holy names of Vishnu 3 times can be attained by only one utterance of the holy name of Krishna. Purport. This verse from Brahmana Puran is found in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami. Simply by chanting the name of Krishna once, one can attain the same results achieved by chanting the holy name of Rama 3 times. Text 34. According to this statement of the Shastras, the glories of the holy name of Krishna are unlimited. Still, I could not chant his holy name. Please hear the reason for this. Text 35. My worshipable Lord has been Lord Ramachandra, and by chanting his holy name, I received happiness. Because I received such happiness, I chanted the holy name of Lord Rama day and night. Text 36. By your appearance, Lord Krishna's holy name also appeared, and at that time, the glories of Krishna's name awoke in my heart. Text 37. Sir, you are that Lord Krishna himself, that is my conclusion. Saying this, Brahmana fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 38. After showing mercy to the Brahmanas, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the next day and arrived at Vriddha where he visited the temple of Lord Shiva. Purport. Vriddha Kashi's present name is Vriddhachalam. It is situated in the southern Arcot district on the bank of the river Manimukha. This place is also known as Kalahastipura. Lord Shiva's temple there was worshipped for many years by Govinda, the cousin of Ramanujacharya. Text 39. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then left Vriddhakashi and proceeded further. In one village he saw that most of the residents were Brahmanas and he took his rest there. Text 40. Due to the influence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many millions of men came just to see him. Indeed, the assembly being unlimited, its members could not be counted. Text 41. The Lord's bodily features were very beautiful, and in addition, he was always in ecstasy of the love of Godhead. Simply by seeing him, everyone began chanting the holy name of Krishna, and thus everyone became a Vaishnava devotee. Text 42. There are many kinds of philosophers. Some are logicians who follow Gautama or Kannada. Some follow the Mimamsa philosophy of Jaimini. Some follow the Mayavad philosophy of Shankaracharya. And others follow Kapila's Samkhya philosophy or the mystic yoga system of Patanjali. Some follow the Smriti Shastra, composed of 20 religious scriptures, and others follow the Puranas and the Tantra Shastra. In this way, there are many different types of philosophers. Text 43. All of these adherents of various scriptures were ready to present the conclusions of the respective scriptures. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke all their opinions to pieces and established his own cult of bhakti based on the Vedas, Vedanta, the Brahma Sutra, and the philosophy of Achintya Veda Ved Tattva. Text 44. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established the devotional cult everywhere. No one could defeat him. Text 45. Being thus defeated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all his philosophers and their followers entered into his cult. In this way, Lord Chaitanya made South India into a country of Vaishnavas. Text 46. When the non-believers heard of the erudition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they came to him with great pride, bringing their disciples with them. Text 47. One of them was a leader of the Buddhist cult and was a very learned scholar. To establish the 9 philosophical conclusions of Buddhism, he came before the Lord and began to speak. Text 48. Although the Buddhists are unfit for discussion and should not be seen by Vaishnavas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to them just to decrease their false pride. Text 49. The scriptures of the Buddhist cult are chiefly based on argument and logic, and they contain 9 chief principles. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated the Buddhists in their argument, they could not establish their cult proper. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that according to the Buddhist cult, there are 2 ways of understanding philosophy. One is called Hinayana and the other is called Mahayana. Hinayana and Mahayana. Along the Buddhist path, there are 9 principles. The creation is eternal, therefore there is no need to accept a creator. The cosmic manifestation is false. I am is the truth. There is repetition of birth and death. Lord Buddha is the only source of understanding the truth. The principle of nirvana or annihilation is the ultimate goal. The philosophy of Buddha is the only philosophical path. The Vedas are compiled by human beings. Pious activities, showing mercy to others, and so on are advised. No one can attain the absolute truth by argument. One may be very expert in logic, and another person may be even more expert in the art of argument. Because there is so much word jugglery in logic, one can never come to the real conclusion about the absolute truth by argument. The followers of the Vedic principles understand this. However, it is seen here that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated the Buddhist philosophy by argument. Those who are preachers in ISKCON will certainly meet many people who believe in intellectual arguments. Most of these people do not believe in the authority of the Vedas. Nevertheless, they accept intellectual speculation and argument. Therefore, the preachers of Krishna consciousness should be prepared to defeat others by argument, just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. In this verse, it is clearly said, Tarkai Khandira Prabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put forward such a strong argument that the Buddhists could not counter him to establish their cult. Their first principle is that the creation has always existed. But if this were the case, there could be no theory of annihilation. The Buddhists maintain that annihilation or dissolution is the highest truth. If the creation eternally exists, there is no question of dissolution or annihilation. This argument is not very strong because by practical experience we see that material things have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The ultimate aim of the Buddhist philosophy is to dissolve the body. This is proposed because the body has a beginning. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation is also a gigantic body. But if we accept the fact that it will always exist, there can be no question of annihilation. Therefore, the attempt to annihilate everything in order to attain zero is an absurdity. By our own practical experience, we have to accept the beginning of creation, and when we accept the beginning, we must accept a creator. Such a creator must possess an all-pervasive body, as pointed out in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, text 14. Sarvata pani padam tat sarvata shiro mukham sarvata shutimal loke sarvam avritya tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. The Supreme Person must be present everywhere. His body existed before the creation, otherwise he could not be the creator. If the Supreme Person is a created being, there can be no question of a creator. The conclusion is that the cosmic manifestation is certainly created at a certain time. And the creator existed before the creation. Therefore, the creator is not a created being. The creator is a Parabrahman or the Supreme Spirit. Matter is not only subordinate to spirit, but it is actually created on the basis of spirit. When the spirit soul enters the womb of a mother, the body is created by material ingredients supplied by the mother. Everything is created in the material world, and consequently, there must be a creator who is the Supreme Spirit and who is distinct from matter. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the material energy is inferior and that the spiritual energy is the living entity. Both inferior and superior energies belong to a Supreme Person. The Buddhists argue that the world is false, but this is not valid. The world is temporary, but it is not false. As long as we have the body, we must suffer the pleasures and pains of the body, even though we are not the body. We may not take these pleasures and pains very seriously, but they are factual nonetheless. We cannot actually say that they are false. If the bodily pains and pleasure were false, the creation would be false also, and consequently, no one would take very much interest in it. The conclusion is that the material creation is not false or imaginary, but it is temporary. The Buddhists maintain that the principle I am is the ultimate truth, but this excludes the individuality of I and you. If there is no I and you or individuality, there is no possibility of argument. The Buddhist philosophy depends on argument, but there can be no argument if one simply depends on I am. There must be a you or another person also. The philosophy of duality, the existence of the individual soul and the super soul must be there. This is confirmed in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, text 12, wherein the Lord says, "Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these things, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. We existed in the past in different bodies, and after the annihilation of this body, we shall exist in another body. The principle of the soul is eternal, and it exists in the body or in another body. Even in this lifetime, we experience existence in a child's body, a youth's body, a man's body, and an old body. After the annihilation of the body, we acquire another body. The Buddhist cult also accepts the philosophy of transmigration, but the Buddhists do not properly explain the next birth. There are 8.4 million species of life, and our next birth may be in any one of them. Therefore, this human body is not guaranteed. According to the Buddhist, Fifth principle, Lord Buddha is the only source for the attainment of knowledge. We cannot accept this, for Lord Buddha rejected the principles of Vedic knowledge. One must accept a principle of standard knowledge because one cannot attain the absolute truth simply by intellectual speculation. If everyone is an authority, or if everyone accepts his own intelligence as the ultimate criterion, as is presently fashionable, the scriptures will be interpreted in many different ways, and everyone will claim that his own philosophy is supreme. This has become a very great problem, and everyone is interpreting scripture in his own way and setting up his own basis of authority. Yato mat tato pat. Now everybody and anybody is trying to establish his own theory as the ultimate truth. The Buddhists realize that annihilation or nirvana is the ultimate goal. Annihilation applies to the body, but the spirit soul can't migrate from one body to another. If this were not the case, how can so many multifarious bodies come into existence? If the next birth is a fact, the next bodily form is also a fact. As soon as we accept a material body, we must accept the fact that body will be annihilated and that we will have to accept another body. If all material bodies are doomed to annihilation, we must obtain a non-material body or a spiritual body if we wish the next birth to be anything but false. How the spiritual body is attained is explained by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata tattva deham punarjanma neti mameti sojana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. This is the highest perfection, to give up one's material body and not accept another, but to return home back to Godhead. It is not that perfection means one's existence becomes void or zero. Existence continues. But if we positively want to annihilate the material body, we have to accept a spiritual body. Otherwise, there can be no eternality for the soul. We cannot accept the theory that the Buddhist philosophy is the only way, for there are so many defects in that philosophy. A perfect philosophy is one that has no defects, and that is Vedanta philosophy. No one can point out any defects in Vedanta philosophy, and therefore we can conclude that the Vedanta is the supreme philosophical way of understanding the truth. According to the Buddhist cult, the Vedas are compiled by ordinary human beings. If this were the case, there would be no authority, they would not be authoritative. From the Vedic literatures, we understand that shortly after the creation, Lord Brahma was instructed in the Vedas. It is not that the Vedas were created by Brahma, although Brahma is the original person in the universe. If the Brahma did not create the Vedas, but he is acknowledged as the first created being, where from did Vedic knowledge come to Brahma? Obviously, the Vedas did not come from an ordinary person born in the material world. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hidaye Adi Kaviye. After the creation, the Supreme Person imparted Vedic knowledge within the heart of Brahma. There was no person in the beginning of creation other than Brahma, yet he did not compile the Vedas. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Vedas were not compiled by any created being. Vedic knowledge was given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created this material world. This is also accepted by Shankaracharya, although he is not a Vaishnava. It is stated that mercy is one of the qualities of a Buddhist, but mercy is a relative thing. We show our mercy to a subordinate or to one who is suffering more than ourselves. However, if there is a superior person present, the superior person cannot be the object of our mercy. Rather, we are objects for the mercy of the superior person. Therefore, showing compassion and mercy is a relative activity. It is not that absolute truth. It is not the absolute truth. Apart from this, we also must know what actual mercy is. To give a sick man something forbidden for him to eat is not mercy.
Yeah.
Rather, it is cruelty. Unless we know what mercy really is, we may create an undesirable situation. If we wish to show real mercy, we will preach Krishna consciousness in order to revive the lost consciousness of human beings. The living entity's original consciousness. Since the Buddhist philosophy does not admit the existence of the spiritual soul, the so called mercy of the Buddhists is defective. Text 50. The teacher of the Buddhist cult set forth the nine principles, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke them to pieces with his strong logic. Text 51. All mental speculators and learned scholars were defeated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when they began people to laugh, the Buddhist philosophers felt both shame and fear. Purport. These philosophers were all atheists, for they did not believe in the existence of God. Atheists may be very expert in mental speculation and may be so-called great philosophers, but they can be defeated by a Vaishnava firmly situated in his conviction and God consciousness. Following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the preachers engaged in the service of ISKCON should be very much expert in putting forward strong arguments and defeating all types of atheists. Text 52. The Buddhists could understand that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Vaishnava, and they returned home very unhappy. Later, however, they began to plot against the Lord. Text 53. Having made their plot, the Buddhists brought a plate of untouchable food before the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and called it Mahaprasadam. Purport. The word apavitra refers to food that is unacceptable for a Vaishnava. In other words, a Vaishnava cannot accept any food offered by an Vaishnava in the name of Mahaprasada. This should be a principle for all Vaishnavas. When asked, what is the behavior of a Vaishnava? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, a Vaishnava must avoid the company of an Vaishnava, Asat. The word Asat refers to an Vaishnava, that is, one is not a Vaishnava. Asat Sang Tyag A Vaishnav Achar. Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 87. A Vaishnava must be very strict in this respect and should not at all cooperate with an Vaishnava. If a Vaishnava offers food in the name of Mahaprasadam, it should not be accepted. Such food cannot be prasadam because an Vaishnava cannot offer anything to the Lord. Sometimes, preachers in the Krishna consciousness movement have to accept food in a home where the householder is an Vaishnava. However, if this food is offered to the deity, it can be taken. Ordinary food cooked by an Vaishnava should not be accepted by a Vaishnava. Even if an Vaishnava cooks food without fault, he cannot offer it to Lord Vishnu and it cannot be accepted as Mahaprasadam. According to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 9.26, Patram Pushpam Phalanto Yam Yomi Bhaktya Prichati Tadam Bhakti Upretam Ashnami Pretatmaya. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I'll accept it. Krishna can accept anything offered by his devotee with devotion. And a Vaishnava may be a vegetarian and a very clean cook, but because he cannot offer Vishnu the food he cooks, it cannot be accepted as Mahaprasadam. It is better that a Vaishnava abandon such food as untouchable. Text 54. When the contaminated food was offered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very large bird appeared on the spot, picked up the plate in its beak and flew away. Text 55. Indeed, the untouchable food fell upon the Buddhist, and the large bird dropped the plate on the head of the chief Buddhist teacher. When it fell on his head, it made a loud sound. Text 56. The plate was made of metal, and when its edge hit the head of the teacher, it cut him. And the teacher immediately fell to the ground unconscious. Text 57. When the teacher fell unconscious, His Buddhist disciples cried aloud and ran to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for shelter. Text 58. They all praised to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, addressing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself and saying, Sir, please excuse our offense. Please have mercy upon us and bring our spiritual master back to life. Text 59. The Lord then replied to the Buddhist disciples, You should all chant the names of Krishna and Hari very loudly, near the ear of your spiritual master. Thomas, text 60. By this method, your spiritual master will regain his consciousness. Following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advice, all the Buddhist disciples began to chant the holy name of Krishna congregationally. Text 61. When all the disciples chanted the holy names Krishna, Rama and Hari, the Buddhist teacher regained consciousness and immediately began to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that all the Buddhist disciples were actually initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. And when they chanted, they actually became different persons. At that time, they were not Buddhist or atheist, but Vaishnavas. Consequently, they immediately accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order. Their original Krishna consciousness was revived, and they were immediately able to chant Hare Krishna and began worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu. It is the spiritual master who delivers the disciple from the clutches of Maya by initiating him into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In this way, a sleeping human being can revive his consciousness by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In other words, the spiritual master awakens the sleeping living entity to his original consciousness so that he can worship Lord Vishnu. This is the purpose of Diksha or initiation. Initiation means receiving the pure knowledge of spiritual consciousness. One point to note in this regard is that the spiritual master of the Buddhist did not initiate his disciples. Rather, his disciples were initiated by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they in turn were able to initiate their so-called spiritual master. This is the parampara system. The so-called spiritual master of the Buddhists was actually in the position of a disciple, and after his disciples were initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they acted as his spiritual masters. This was possible only because the disciples of Buddhist Acharya received the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Unless one is favored by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the disciple succession, one cannot act as a spiritual master. We should take the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the spiritual master of the whole universe, to understand how one becomes a spiritual master and a disciple. Text 62. When the spiritual master of the Buddhists began to chant the holy name of Krishna and submitted to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the people who were gathered there were astonished. Text 63. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Sachidevi, then suddenly and playfully disappeared from everyone's sight, and it was impossible for anyone to find him. Text 64. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at Tirupati and Tirumala, where he saw a four-handed deity. Then he proceeded toward Venkata Hill. Papa. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has actually described the chronological order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit. The Tirupati temple is sometimes called Tirupatura. It is situated on the northern side of Arcot in the district of Chandragiri. It is a famous holy place of pilgrimage. In pursuance of his name, Venkateshwara, the four-handed Lord Vishnu, the deity of Balaji, with his potencies named Shri and Bhu, is located on Venkata Hill, about 8 miles from Tirupati. This Venkateshwar deity is in the form of Lord Vishnu, and the place where he is situated is known as Venkatashetra. There are many temples in southern India, but this Balaji temple is especially opulent. A great fair is held there in the month of Ashwin, September-October, There is a railway station called Tirupati on the southern railway. Nimna Tirupati is located in the valley of Venkata Hill. There are several temples there, also among which are those of Govindaraj and Lord Ramachandra. Text 65. After arriving at Tirupati, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Ramachandra. He offered his prayers and obeisances before Lord Ramachandra, the descendants of King Raghu. Text 66. Everywhere Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, his influence astonished everyone. He next arrived at the temple of Pani Narsingha. The Lord is so merciful. Purport. Pani Narsingha or Panakal Narsingha is located in the district of Krishna. In the hills known as Mangalgiri, about 7 miles from a city known as Vijayawada. One must climb 600 steps to reach the temple. It is said that when the Lord is offered food with syrup here, he does not take more than half. Within the temple is a conch shell presented by the late king of Tanjore, and it is said that this shell was used by Lord Krishna himself. During the month of March, a great fair takes place in the temple. Text 67. Trust. In a great excessive love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered obeisances and prayers unto Lord Narsingha. These people were astonished to see Lord Sri Chaitanya's influence. Text 68. Arriving at Shiva Kanchi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the deity of Lord Shiva. By his influence, he converted all the devotees of Lord Shiva into Vaishnavas. Purport. Shiva Kanchi is known as Kanchipuram or the Banaras of southern India. In Shiva Kanchi, there are hundreds of temples containing symbolic representations of Lord Shiva. And one of these temples is said to be very, very old. Text 69. The Lord then visited a holy place known as Vishnu Kanchi. There he saw Lakshmi Narayan deities and he offered his respects and many prayers to please them. Purport. Vishnu Kanchi is situated about 5 miles away from Kanchipuram. It is here that Lord Varadaraj, another form of Lord Vishnu, resides. There is also a big lake known as Anant Sarovar. Text 70. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at Vishnu Kanchi for 2 days, he danced and performed kirtan in ecstasy. When all the people saw him, they were converted into devotees of Lord Krishna. Text 71. After visiting Trimale, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Trikalahasti. There he saw Lord Shiva and offered him all respects and obeisances. Purport. Trikalahasti or Sri Kalahasti is situated about 22 miles east of Tirupati. Text 72. At Pakshiti, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Shiva. There he went to the Vriddha place of pilgrimage. Purport. Pakshiti, also called Tirukadi Gundam, is located in text 73. At Vriddha Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Puja29.09.2022, the white war incarnation. After offering him respects, the Lord visited the temple of Lord Shiva, wherein the deity is dressed with yellow garments. Purport. The temple of the white ball incarnation is situated at Vriddha or Sri Mushnam. This temple is made of stone and is located about 1 mile south of an oasis known as Balapitham. There is a deity of the white ball incarnation above whose head Krishna serves as an umbrella. The temple of Lord Shiva mentioned here is situated in Pitambara or Chidambaram, which lies 26 miles south of Kudalore. The deity of Lord Shiva is also known as Akashalinga. The temple is situated on about 39 acres of land, and all this land is surrounded by a wall and by a rod that is about 50 feet wide. Text 74. After visiting the temple of Siali Bhairavi, a form of goddess Durga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, went to the bank of river Kaveri. Purport. The temple of Siyali Bhairavi is located in the Tanjore district, about 48 miles northeast of Tanjore city. There is a very much celebrated temple of Lord Shiva there and a very large lake. Text 75. The Lord then visited a place known as Gosamaj, where he saw Lord Shiva's temple. He then arrived at Vedavan, where he saw another deity of Lord Shiva and offered him prayers. Purport. Gosamaj is a place of pilgrimage for the devotees of Lord Shiva. It is very important and is located near Vedavan. Text 76. Seeing the Shiva deity named Amrit Linga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his obeisances. Thus he visited all the temples of Lord Shiva and converted the devotees of Lord Shiva into Vaishnavas. Text 77. At Devasthan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Vishnu, and there he talked with the Vaishnavas in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya. These Vaishnavas are known as Sri Vaishnavas. Text 78. At Kumbhakarna, at Devasthan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Vishnu, and there he talked with the Vaishnavas in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya. These Vaishnavas are known as Sri Vaishnavas. Text 78. At Kumbhakarna Kapal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a great lake and the holy place named Shiva Kshetra, where a temple of Lord Shiva is located. Purport. Kumbhakarna is the name of the brother of Ravana. At the present moment, the city of Kumbhakarna Kapal is known as Kumbhakonam. It is situated 24 miles northeast of the city of Tanjore. There are 12 temples of Lord Shiva located at Kumbhakonam, as well as 4 Vishnu temples and 1 temple of Lord Brahma. Shiva Kshetra within the city of Tanjore is situated near a big lake known as Shiva Ganga. At this place is the last temple of Lord Shiva known as Brihatishwar Shiva Mandir. Text 79. After visiting the holy place named Shiva Kshetra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Papanasana, and there saw the temple of Lord Vishnu. Then he finally reached Sri Ranga Kshetra. Purport. There are 2 holy places known as Papanasana. One is located 8 miles southwest of Kumbhakonam, and the other lies near the river Tamraparni in the district of Tirunelveli, 20 miles west of the city of Tirunelveli. Sri Ranga Kshetra, Sri Rangam, is a very famous place. It lies in the district of Tiruchirappalli, about 10 miles west of Kumbhakonam and near the city of Tiruchirappalli on an island in the Kaveri River. The Sri Ranga temple is the largest in India, and there are 7 walls surrounding it. There are also 7 roads leading to Sri Rangam. The ancient names of these roads are the Road of Dharma, the Road of Rajmendra, the Road of Kulashekha, the Road of Arinadan, the Road of Tiruvikrama, the Tiruvi Road of the Tiruvi Road of Madamadi Gaish, and the Road of Ar-Iyawal in Dan. The temple was founded before the reign of Dharmavarma, who reigned before Raja Mahendra. Many celebrated kings like Kulakshekara and Yamunacharya Al-Bandaru resided in the temple of Sri Rangam. Ramanujacharya, Yamunacharya, Sri Ramanujacharya, Sudarshanacharya and others also supervised this temple. The incarnation of goddess of fortune known as Goda Devi or Sri Andal was one of the 12 Alvars. Liberated persons known as Divyasuris. She was married to the deity of Lord Sri Ranganath and later she entered into the body of the Lord. An incarnation of Karmuka named Tirumanga, also one of the Alvars, acquired some money by stealing and built the fourth boundary wall of Sri Lanka. It is said that in the year 289 of the age of Kali, the Alvar of the name Tondar Dipadi was born. While engaged in devotional service, it fell victim to a prostitute. And Ranganath, seeing these devotees so degraded, sent one of his servants with a golden plate to the prostitute. When the golden plate was discovered missing from the temple, there was a search and it was found in the prostitute's house. When the devotees saw Ranganath's mercy upon this prostitute, his mercy was rectified. He then prepared the third boundary wall of the Ranganath temple and cultivated a Tulsi garden there. There was also a celebrated disciple of Ramanujacharya known as Kuresh. Sri Rama Pillai was the son of Kuresh and his son was Vagvijaya Bhatt, whose son was Vedvyas Bhatt or Sri Sudarshanacharya. When Sudarshanacharya was an old man, the Muslims attacked the temple of Ranganath and killed about 1200 Sri Vaishnavas. At that time, the deity of Sri Ranganath was transferred to the temple of Tirupati in that kingdom of Vijayanagar. The governor of Gingi, Gopanarya, brought Sri Ranganath from the temple of Tirupati to a place known as Simhabrahma, where the Lord was situated for 3 years. In the year 1293 Shak of AD 1371, the deity was reinstalled in the Ranganath temple. On the eastern wall of the Ranganath temple is an inscription written by Vedanta Deshika relating how Ranganath was returned to the temple. Text 80. After bathing in the river Kaveri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the temple of Ranganath and offered his ardent prayers and obeisances. Thus he felt himself successful. Text 81. In the temple of Ranganath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted and danced in ecstatic love of Godhead.
और जितना खा के सुबह लगाते हैं।
चल रहा है क्या?
बहुत लोग देखते हैं।
दूसरा होता है वो काम है।
दूसरे